Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Breaking 90 podcast. We are your hosts, the coaches of Breaking 90 Fitness. I'm Alex Harriman. This is my co-host, Jerrika and Alex. Thanks for listening. Jer, how you doing today?
Doing pretty well. How have you been?
Yeah, I've been good. We just had Emerson at home sick for a couple of days last week, just like normal kid cold, whatever. But like just with COVID now, it's such a challenge, and I imagine a lot of our listeners can relate because obviously, like, already you shouldn't be sending your kid to school sick, but then now it's like, okay, if they're home, the school's kind of looking for COVID tests and all that, and like he's so sick of getting COVID tests because this is his fourth one now. So
Aw.
yeah, he's like so excited that he got to stay home the other day, and then I was like, but we have to go to the doctor and get a COVID test. He's like, no, I'll go to school, just send me
Let
to
me
school.
go. Oh, and
Poor
also,
guy.
it's just a cold. It's like you almost want to tell the teachers, like, yeah, he's just family reasons. He's not sick, but you got to do what you have to do.
Well, so like the first day, that was my plan. I was just like, you know what? I'll just see how this day unfolds because I know he doesn't have COVID, but I'll just see how this day unfolds. And he kind of like progressively got sicker. So I was like, I gotta take him to get a test
Yeah.
because he's definitely not going to be at school the next day either. So he ended up doing 2 days off of school, and they appreciated me sending it, but it just sucks because it just takes something that is going to happen so frequently and make it a common event, and then like everybody's rules at work are different, but like some people can't go to work when their kids at home sick now, so it's just chaos.
I mean, on the plus side, at least he'll never like fake a sickness now.
I know, that's what we're talking about. Actually this morning when I was getting him ready for school, he's like, are you sure you want to send me to school with a cough? I was like, you don't have a cough. He's like, are you sure you want to send me? I was like, do you want to go get another COVID test? He's like, no, I'll go to school.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh, what a guy.
So what I want to talk about today is it's a question, not a question necessarily, but a way that a lot of people feel when they first reach out to us. So it's the feeling that you aren't getting the results, or you aren't looking the way that you think you should look, or getting the results you think you should be getting based off of the amount of work you put in. Okay.
Okay, so you're saying, sorry, go ahead.
So somebody will come to us and be like, I work super hard, or like I exercise a lot, I train really hard, but I'm not really getting either the results I want to be getting, or I'm not looking the way that I want to be looking. And it's super frustrating because I feel like I put in way more work than the average person of my age, height, gender, whatever.
Right.
So that I kind of want to just like dig into that specific topic a little bit, because I think it's something that a lot of people experience. What are your initial thoughts when you hear somebody say that? Like, I'm really frustrated because I train super hard and I'm not getting the results that I want to be getting.
I think the first thing that we would kind of question or dive into, especially when their focus is always the exercise, right? I'm exercising this much, I'm moving this much. They're always thinking I have to do more exercise or more fitness related things. But I think the first thing we would dive into is, what are you doing the other 23 hours of the day?
For sure. And that's typically what it comes down to. Not always. There's definitely different circumstances for everybody, and I kind of want to go two different ways with this topic. We see a lot of people who they do train harder than the average person. I mean, if we look at an average sample of people, most people don't exercise at all.
Exactly.
So anybody that exercises regularly is already doing more than the average person. But a lot of people feel like they eat pretty well,
Mm-hmm.
and the thing is that their nutrition just isn't complementing their training. So whether they're in a caloric surplus or they're in, like, it's typically a caloric maintenance, right around that maintenance level, but they're just not really not choosing a lot of high quality foods, or not getting enough protein, or not getting enough vegetables, whatever it might be. That's a little different from person to person. Um, what what do you think from a nutrition standpoint is do you see that as being the most common thing holding that specific person back? They train hard, but they don't really monitor their nutrition. Where do you see them most typically struggling there?
Are we looking from a fat loss standpoint or muscle?
Probably body composition in general. Like they're like, I train really hard, but I don't look like I train really hard.
Right. I would look at two things, right? Their calories in versus calories out and protein.
Yeah.
Right. If someone's looking to maybe, let's look at one side, looking to gain size, or they want more definition, or in quotations, that toned look that people, the word that they use, that would probably have a lot to do with their protein intake, right? If they're not fueling their muscles, then that could be a big issue. And then that body composition, whether that be losing fat, then we want to look at how many calories, or right, how much food are they eating to meet their goals. If they're trying to lose, then maybe they'll need to eat a little bit under that maintenance level. And I think oftentimes it's, they think that they're at their maintenance, right? It's so common, people think they're at their maintenance, but then it's slowly creeping up, the scale is slowly creeping up. And that has lots to do, obviously, with portion sizes, those random snacks that they're grabbing midday that they're not taking account for. That all does add up big time.
Yeah, one exercise that I'll often do with people when they first start is I'll get them to do like a 3-day food log, and then we'll review it together. And it's really surprising. I get a lot of people who say that, like, no, I eat really well, like my problem comes from exercise. So this is a little bit different. This is somebody who isn't exercising as frequently. But right off the hop, something I see all the time is somebody who just has like toast and peanut butter for breakfast. And so it's like, that's fine. Like you can definitely fit that in, but you're getting almost no protein, and you're getting a carb fat heavy breakfast with little to no protein. And it's pretty calorie dense too, because like we've talked about in the past, you're going to put a ton of peanut butter.
Yep.
And
always overestimate fats.
Yes.
Or
And
underestimate.
so even on the food log, they'll be like, yeah, I had peanut butter and toast for breakfast, or peanut butter and an English muffin, whatever. And then I'll be like, okay, did you butter that toast first? Oh yeah, I put butter on it too. So boom, right there. It's just one of those things that slips your mind. Like I didn't even think about it because I always butter the toast. So that's another fat added on to that peanut butter toast butter, now no protein. And they're like, yeah, it's pretty typical breakfast for me. I might have a piece of fruit with that, and it's a pretty healthy breakfast. And it doesn't really come down to healthy or not, but it's quite a few calories with very little protein. So we always look at that protein to calorie ratio when we're judging meals. Then we carry on to like lunch, where they'll have a salad, super healthy, but they won't put any protein in the salad once again. So they might have a lower calorie salad, or maybe not. Maybe they put bacon and a creamy dressing in it, but once again, there's little to no protein in that salad. So they're making some healthier food choices, but like the calories are climbing. We haven't even touched the protein goal yet. And they're like, yeah, sometimes dinner's just pretty much whatever we plan for the night, but it's usually pretty healthy. We have a vegetable, a carb, and a protein. So it's like, okay, so dinner is like your one really good square meal of the day.
And one true protein. And then at night, things often go a little sideways and we snack a little bit. And the snacks again are going to be like common ones are like popcorn or chips, or maybe wine. It's a piece of fruit, some wine, chocolate, right? So it's another non-protein choice. So that we start breaking apart an entire week, and this person's really only having one serving of protein every night for dinner until maybe the weekend, because they eat more food on the weekend. So they probably get in a second protein, but they're also adding exponential amounts of calories. So that person that sat down with you and said, I eat healthy, but it's not really a case of eating healthy or not. It's the protein intake. So that was probably a big eye opener for that person.
Yeah, that protein to calorie ratio is always an eye opener. So there's certainly room for all of the foods that we've discussed, but you have to monitor your protein to calorie ratio. If your calories are going through the roof just to accommodate your protein, then you're going to have a hard time making progress. Your body's probably not going to change in the ways that you want your body to be changing.
And I think what happens too, they'll be like, well, Alex, I don't care about needing the protein because I'm not trying to, get huge or gain a ton of muscle. But in all reality, we keep reminding our clients that having more muscle actually burns more calories. And then when they start using the words like toned and defined look, well, that requires us to have muscle, right?
Hmm.
So we want to support that muscle breakdown when we do our workouts by
A lot
eating required protein.
a lot of people think they only need the extra protein when they're trying to gain muscle or gain mass or gain weight or get stronger, but it definitely plays a huge role in fat loss. I mean, even out of the three macronutrients, protein is the one that gets stored the least as fat. So if you're trying to eat extra calories and have less of it store as fat, protein is going to play a huge role there. We've talked about it so much in the past, but it plays a huge role in our recovery, our muscle recovery, our all of our repair. So it getting that protein in is going to be huge in your fat loss journey and your body transformation journey in general. The flip side to this now is the person who trains probably much harder than average, and they're like so frustrated because I train like crazy, but I'm not getting the results I want. So this is less of a body composition related topic. This is somebody who feels like they exercise really hard, they work out really hard. And I'm going to say workout because the problem I often see with this one is they're not following a proper plan, a proper strength program, a proper progressive overload. What are your thoughts on that topic?
That's a really good point. So you're saying that this person, works out every day with no plan, even though they are eating maybe adequate protein and good choices. And they may see fat loss, they may see initial, body compositional changes. But as time goes on, and they're not, we use the term progressive overload, they're not each week either adding more weight or changing the reps to make it more challenging. If they're not following a program that is designed that way, they won't see, like you said, the changes, the strength goals or whatever hypertrophy goals that they may have, because these programs are designed in a way, the rep ranges, the sets, the reps, the frequency to meet those goals, rather than just showing up to a random hit class, 6 days a week, thinking, oh my God, my watch just said I burned 500 calories in 45 minutes. Like I'm going to be so fit in 2 months from now. Whereas if you're not following, like I said, the progressive overload program, then you might just hover, right? You might hit that plateau because your body's just used to doing that same thing every day.
Yeah, you're not forcing any adaptation. And I mean, the reason that those hit classes and all of those really exciting new workouts do so well is because they are exciting, right? Like following progressive overload isn't always glamorous or exciting. A lot of people often reference being bored doing the same exercises over and over and over again in a proper progression. But the truth is, the best training plans are often just different variations of the exact same exercises with some progressions in it to force your body to adapt, to force your body to become better.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I had my brother reached out to me. He's like, Jared, I just back squatted for the third week in a row. Like I'm so bored. And I was like, well, look at your numbers. Look at your numbers going up every week. I'm like, are you feeling stronger? He's like, yeah, I have no more knee pain. I lost, 30, 40 pounds. Like I'm feeling really great. And I was like, well, okay, let's look at the bigger picture here. And you're lifting so much more. And so I think sometimes we have to be reminded that it's not always glamorous.
It's partially too like we like to do the things we're really good at, right? So when people start doing high intensity classes, they get really good at it because their conditioning levels go up. They might not be getting stronger, they might not be putting on a ton of muscle or anything like that, but they're getting good at high intensity movements because they do it a lot. So then all of a sudden they start to enjoy it because it becomes easier. But the problem with something becoming easier is it's not forcing you to adapt as much. So if you're doing the same high intensity classes, you can push yourself a little bit harder, but at the end of the day, those classes are still designed for beginner to expert level general public, right? Like when you follow proper progressive overload, if your goal is to gain some muscle or strength or to make progression, it's designed specifically for you to adapt. So any movement's always better than no movement. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that, but what I wanted to circle back to there is we enjoy what we get good at. So even with a progressive overload that you find boring in the beginning, like, I don't know about you, but I could squat every single day and love it. like because I've gotten good at it, and I love chasing the progress and making gains and seeing that happen. Like, that's exciting to me now. That if somebody invited me to go do a high intensity class right now, I'd suck at it and I wouldn't want to go.
Exactly. And it almost takes me back to the comment that we hear so often, like, why can't I do a chin up yet? I work out so often. Why can't I do that one body weight chin up? And it's like, well, how often are you doing or attempting the chin up, right? How often are we doing some type of chin up progression?
Yeah.
So it's basically, if you're not working towards that goal, right? If we're doing maybe just like we said, the high intensity classes, you'll probably never be able to do that difficult chin up.
True. Yeah, it's true. And even push-ups is another one that we hear all the time, right? Like, I can't do push-ups. A lot of people on the flip side with the push-up will try the push-up over and over and over again, but not really do a good quality push-up because they want to do it from the toes. So they force themselves to do it from the toes rather than doing some push-up progressions with proper form and proper technique and proper progression, which will eventually lead to you doing a full push-up from the toes.
And proper rest, right? So often push-ups are just thrown in, like, okay, let's do some jumping jacks, down for some push-ups. Now we're gonna go and do some high knees. Well, we're exhausted by the time we got to the push-ups. And if that's my goal, if push-ups are my goal, there should be, a specific time of rest dedicated to recovering so that I can try it again.
There's like so many different ways that I want to take this right now. And I know I don't want to take too much time, but something you just said there that resonated huge is another thing that people will often ask is, should I do my cardio or strength training first? And we can make a whole episode about this at some point, but it's the same thing, right? If it's your priority and that's what you're trying to make progress in, you shouldn't be doing it exhausted. So if your priority is your strength training, don't crush yourself with cardio first. If your priority is getting better at your push-ups or chin-ups, don't crush yourself before you do push-ups or chin-ups, right? So if you want to make progression, you need to use your best self during the time you want to make progression. If you want to add cardio after your strength training, that's fine. If your goal is to become better at cardio, then do your cardio first. It seems simple in theory, but it's a concept that often gets twisted. So what I'd like to close this episode off with is just giving that person a few pointers. Okay, so that person who is training hard and not seeing the changes in their body that they want to see. So just a few quick pointers. I'm going to start off with one, and if you have any, feel free to pitch them in. So the first one that I often see is this person's exercising hard, like 3, 4, or 5 times a week for an hour. The rest of the 23 hours they sit on their butt and they don't move. I would say increase your movement, not your exercise. So focus more on moving, not more on exercising. That's the first pointer that I want to give there.
Next thing I would say is look at your water intake and your calories consumed via liquids. So increase your water, maybe coffee or tea, and look at what else you're consuming and decrease that.
Awesome one. Okay, so then I'll tag onto that and say increase both fruits and vegetables. Like, challenge yourself here. Like, have a salad every day, a big ass salad every day. Try to eat lots of vegetables. Fruits are fine too. Don't make fruits your enemy, but right away, by increasing fruits, vegetables, water, we're decreasing everything else. We're decreasing calories from other areas. So increase fruits and vegetables.
I would say a goal would be to aim for a protein at every meal sitting, at least to start.
Love it. Yeah, love that. I like how you said at every meal sitting too, because protein for that person we referenced, they're already only eating 1 serving of protein a day. So if we said like eat 5 servings of protein a day, it's going to become quickly overwhelming. But if we say at all of your main meals, like 3 protein per day is a very reasonable goal for that person in the beginning, 3 servings of protein. So increase protein. I think those are main ones for sure. If we want to take it a little further, make sure you're getting adequate sleep. If you're not making progress and you're not prioritizing sleep, that's probably the problem.
I like that one.
Any others that we missed that you think are really important? I know there's tons of little factors, but
yeah, the main ones.
Yeah, those are huge. So we've got move more, exercise less, increase your water intake and decrease your other liquid calories, increase your fruits and vegetables, increase your protein intake, and improve your sleep quality and quantity. Cool. That's exactly where I wanted that episode to go. So I'm glad we actually dug in deeper than I was expecting. So that's cool. Kitchen tip. My kitchen tip's kind of like it's kind of like advice on how to plan out your day rather than a specific recipe or nutrition tip or anything. So a lot of people struggle with the boring breakfast, lunch, or eating the same thing every day. But my advice here is going to be make your breakfast and lunch boring most of the time so that you can have fun at dinner, because that's when most people want to have fun. Most people are at home with their family or doing things. Like, to me, it's not that, this is almost like a variation of intermittent fasting without intermittent fasting, but just eat like the bare ass minimum that you need throughout the day so that you feel content. You don't feel like you're starving. Eat lots of fruits and vegetables, get your servings of protein in, but keep it as low as possible so that you have that freedom at night, regardless of what throws at you. Like I could, for instance, like a typical breakfast could be like a smoothie or eggs and with some vegetables. A typical lunch will usually be like a salad or a small portion of leftover dinner from the night before, but it's not unusual for me to eat 400 to 600 calories during my day. And that's like what I eat during the day. And then I can play around with the rest of my calories at night. So not really a kitchen tip, but I think it's something that a lot of people overthink and they stress about, and they end up spending a lot more calories during the day, which leaves them struggling at night and turning to those nighttime snacky choices.
Exactly. I do the exact same thing.
Yeah. I think if you look at a lot of people who are really successful with their body composition long term, not short term, they say they eat pretty much the same things every day for breakfast and lunch.
Yeah, pretty much the same thing every week. I'm cooking a batch amount of sweet potato, rice, all different types of chickens and different types of meat, and a ton of veggies. And I just pick off that for most meals throughout the day. And then you have fun at night, especially if there's unplanned events, right? Then you have that freedom to maybe go out for a friend's birthday and not feel like, oh my God, lunch was so crazy today. Now I can't enjoy myself as much. So
it's on a smaller scale to what we tell everybody to do. When we tell you to budget out your entire week, you still have to budget out your day. And when those unplanned events come and you haven't really left yourself lots of wiggle room, then you're going to struggle, right? We have to make those sacrifices somewhere. Awesome. Well, thank you all for listening. If you found it helpful, make sure you share it. Take a screenshot, share it on Instagram, share it with your friends, and let Jerrika and I know what you thought, and if there's anything you want to hear on the next episode. Thanks again. Have a great day.